Hi guys, it's Nancy Stamps with another video for Fairy Stamper, and I have shown you guys a lot of underwater scene cards on my channel lately, so here's another one. So I've shown you how to do alcohol ink backgrounds on Yupo paper. You basically just put the alcohol ink down. I've shown you how to use brushes or pigment powders. We've done regular watercolors. So this one was me just playing with my gel plate. So in order to save time, I made these backgrounds ahead of time. The gel plate that I used is from Jelly Arts. This is a 5x7. It comes in a clamshell. I do recommend keeping it in the clamshell so that you don't get any kind of dust or debris, anything on there. I don't keep it in any special storage tin or anything. I don't think that these guys really dry out. Also comes with 2 pieces of acetate. And again, you can use it on or off the acetate, doesn't matter. You can see mine's gently loved, so it is stained, but that doesn't hurt anything. And all I do is just stick it to my glass mat, and so it sticks. And if there's little air bubbles, you're just going to push those out from underneath. But that's all I do is just press that down, and then it's stuck to the mat. It's not going to go anywhere. And in this case, I used a couple of different mediums. What I used were some Distress Oxide sprays. I did use some brushes, pigment powders, some micas. So I just used a little bit of everything, sprayed it down with a lot of water, and then did some lifting of those prints. And here is what resulted. Here you can see when there is a lot of color, a lot of brush show powders and so on. I went back in and sprayed with my distress sprayer and lifted some of that water out, and I got the whiter spots. And then as I diluted what was left on the gel plate, you can see it got lighter and lighter. And then I went in and sprayed some other colors on top of the really light one, and this is the one I cut down. This is pretty close to 5x7. And you can decide to go in and brayer that if you want to. But I just made sure I had a lot of water on there with the colors. And then you can see on some of these I have some bubbles. I just took some bubble wrap and I took white ink. So I just used some white ink and I basically stuck the bubble wrap like a stamp into the white ink. And then I stamped it onto my paper here. And so some of the areas you can see there's a little bit more of that white ink, but I thought it was cool to have that texture. So very mixed media looking. I'm really trying to expand my horizon and doing a little bit more with the products that I have. The jelly plates, gel press plates come in different sizes and shapes and so on. So check them out. There's 2 companies that make them, Gel Arts and Gel Press. So you can see here are 2 of them. So this is one company, Gel Press, and one is Jelly Arts. And you can see again, this is a 3x5. Here's a circle, all different sizes. I think they have big 12x12 ones now. So just depending on what you're making. Okay. And you can use acrylic paints. You can use watercolor sprays. It's very versatile. You can use almost anything on it. So I cut this one out, and I just thought, all right, let's just have fun making another underwater scene with all of our Fairy Stamper goodness here. And I'm going to bring in my VersaFine Clair inks, and we're just going to have fun. So I'm going to start off by making kind of this cave bottom with this one. This one's called Rock Formation. And I'm going to stamp this out and color it in a dark color. I'm going to bring a little piece of foam. You can use your stamping pad if you want. I just like this little piece of craft foam. Put that underneath. Clear photopolymer stamps made in the US. So good quality. And I do like the pigment inks because they do kind of stand on top of the paper instead of sinking in. So I think that they just remain a little more vibrant. So we have fallen leaves. Actually, I'm going to start over here with this one. All right, and I think I want a reverse image, so I'm actually going to bring my small gel plate in here. Let's see how well I can do a reverse image here. This one's a little dirty. I should clean it up real quick. Just going to spray some stamp cleaner on there and just wipe it off with a microfiber towel. Get all that leftover paint off of there from the last time I was playing with it. All right, so stamp this down. I think I have a pretty good image there. Okay, that looks pretty good. And I want the reverse on this side. So I'm going to ink this up again. And because I'm using a pigment ink, I have a little time to work with it because pigment ink stays wet. I'm bringing my gel plate in on this side. I really want a lot of ink on there. And now I'm going to stamp this onto my gel plate. And again, just want to go straight down and up. You don't want to wobble it because this is a slick surface and it could slide and cause your print to get blurry. So straight down, pressing down on it. And then I'm going to lift. Okay, and now I have that image on there. I think I did slide it. It does look a little blurry, but that's okay. And now I'm going to use this as a stamp, and it's going to be the reverse image over here. And I'm just going to bring this off the page a little bit since it's not as smooth as I would like it. And now I'm going to press down, and we're going to have a reverse image. Now, obviously, this side's going to be a little blurry, not as crisp and clear as this side, so we'll make sure that we color that in to clean that up. So another thing you can do with your gel plate, instead of just making the background, also using it to reverse stamp. There we go. That actually didn't work out too bad. That's great. Okay, so I'm going to clean this off. And again, just a little bit of spray stamp cleaner. Nothing too harsh on that. And then I can put my gel plate away. All right, so now we have our little cave background or underground scene, I should say. So let's bring in some more things that would be fun here. We have a cute little treasure chest. Called treasure chest. I'm just going to stamp that in some VersaFine Clair Nocturne, just the black. Now, I like to do one layer cards where I stamp directly on my scene. If you don't like to do that, if you're concerned, you can always stamp off and color and cut them out. I find if I make a mistake on my background, I can always go back and do that. So it's personal preference. This is just the faster way for me to do it. But you do whatever works for you using whatever products you have to use. Of course, dye inks will work as well. The pigment inks, like I said, they sit on top of the paper a little bit more, so a little easier to use. Okay, so now we have our treasure chest. Now I'm going to add some seaweed. Now I want this seaweed and the kind of the foliage to be behind my rocks and my treasure chest. So I'm going to cut out what are called masks. And masks are just that. It's just going to mask the area that's already been stamped. And I really just need the top here. I'm going to use a quicker drying ink here because I want this to be real quick. I'm just going to stamp the top of that. Stamp that down on my mask. Masking paper, post-it note paper, whatever you have, that'll just be a temporary stick on there will work. And you just take some scissors and fussy cut that out. So this way, when I stamp my seaweed or my foliage, it's going to go behind my image instead of in front of my image. I don't want to cover all of this up with seaweed. I will put some kind of coral and seaweed in here, but I want some of it behind and some of it in front of our little rock formation. You don't want any space. You want to cut down all the way as close to the line as you can get. If you cut into your line, that's okay, because the height difference between this little sliver of sticker paper, basically masking paper, there's going to be a little void when it stamps over it. So you want to cut this down as close as you can, to your line. And then we pull the backing off. And we're going to stick this right here, covering our rock formation. And these are reusable. You can use them a few times. And I'll grab my seaweed. Use some rainforest, which is a really dark green. Okay, yes. And I'm going to stamp right over the masked area there. Now I do have some perfect pearls or some kind of mica popping through here. That's that purple. So if you see that on there, that's what that is. Be careful because I don't have this mask down here and I don't want anything getting stamped on there. And I have this little mistake treasure chest. I'm just going to use this as a mask. Because I don't want to, like I said, stamp my seaweed on top of here. So for this one, I'm just going to take a little bit of temporary adhesive. A little bit of that on there. And we'll mask off. Now that masks off that guy. Okay, so now we can continue stamping our larger seaweed. This is actually called wild leaves. It's not seaweed. I'm just making it look like seaweed. Okay. I'm going to move this mask over. Ooh, now, how am I going to do this? I'm going to have to stamp this upside down. And That's fine. I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm just going to use some temporary adhesive. Actually, this is the backer sheet. I could just use this. That'll work. Okay, so. Because it's already stamped backwards. Now, that adhesive doesn't want to stick because that's wax paper. So we're going to just tack that down. We'll just kind of hold that in place. Okay, so see, when you lift the masking paper, the image is behind there now. Okay, let's switch over to the hanging vines, which will serve as my other seaweed today. And kind of the same thing with them. Put my mask back in place here. I'm going to go to a different color green. I'm going to use Shady Lane for this one. Same thing, just going to fill in between those larger leaves with the smaller plant. Oops, just threw my ink pad upside down on my table. There's a big green spot now. Okay, I'll do a little bit over here. And a little bit up here. All right. Now our scene is starting to come together. Despite me making a big mess everywhere. Okay, so we have used hanging vines. We have used the leaves. Wild leaves, hanging vines. We have used the rock formation. We have used the treasure chest. All right. So a bunch of other fun stamps we can incorporate here. We have some coral. This is called Fan Coral, and I don't know why, I just always think about this being in a bright orange kind of color. So we're going to stamp some of this reddish orange in color. How about tulip red? We'll see how that shows up. Ooh, that might be too red, but let's see what it looks like. And I'm going to stamp this so that it is, I'm going to do a little bit in front of this rock formation right here. We'll see how much that shows up. Oh, I should have taken my mask off. Well, that's not bad. Okay. We'll do another one on this side to cover up some of our blurriness here. It's It's real subtle. It's in the background, and we'll do one behind our treasure chest here. Just subtly incorporating some color into this scene. I'm going to take off my treasure chest mask. Okay, and if you have any adhesive, you can just rub that off with your finger. I have an eraser, an adhesive eraser. Take some of the excess off. Okay, that's looking pretty good, guys. All right, so now it's just let's add some mermaids into this scene. We have a wonderful rock formation. We have our seaweed. We just need to add some mermaids. You could add some more seaweed in the front here if you wanted to. These fun little characters. We have some fish. All right, so we have 3 different mermaids here. Let me show you what they look like. Okay, so we have this one who is Malila, who is sitting down, and I did do an image, I don't have it in front of me, where she's actually sitting on the rock formation. I think I made that a card and gave it away already. I actually have her sitting on top of the rock formations. That came out pretty good. And then we have Marina, which you've seen me stamp out with the mermaid door. And then we have another mermaid here, which is Doria. And I think this would be great to kind of have Doria and Marina, since this is such a big scene. Maybe, you know, swimming together, handing off something. Let's see here. We have a whole bunch of other fun things we can do here. We have turtles, we have starfish, we have seahorses, we have fish, and we have some other things here. So let's stamp these 2 guys down. Ladies, mermaids, mermaidens, whatever they may be. And I want them to be nice and black, so I am going to use my VersaFine Clear. I am going to re-ink that real quick so that it is nice and juicy. Okay, guys, sorry about that. So I just went and put some re-inker on there, and then I just take like a plastic gift card and push that ink in. So hopefully we'll have a nice dark impression with this. And we're going to have her kind of off to the side here. Came out pretty nice. And if you want, because these are pigment inks, they do stay wet for a little bit. You can add some perfect pearls or some micas on top. It will stick to that. Or if you wanted to do heat embossing, you can do some heat embossing on there so they really pop. That's totally, again, up to you. Now we're going to add the other mermaid. I think for her, I'm going to do dark blue. So they're just not the same color. So this one is Twilight. So she'll be a little different. She'll still be pretty dark, but she'll be a dark navy. All right, now I'm noticing as I ink this up, let me show this to you guys. See this flat part of the stamp where the ink is getting in there? I'm always afraid that that's going to transfer to my image. So before I stamp this, what I'm going to do is a little bit of stamp surgery. So I'm going to clean my stamp off. Just real quick. And there's actually 2 spots. One there and one over here. So this doesn't hurt the stamps. It's just part of the manufacturing process that happens with some photopolymer stamps. Is I don't want that transferring onto my image. So I'm actually going to cut that little piece out. I promise you it does not hurt your stamps in any way. Just cutting that little excess off. And I'm also going to cut the little excess off in the hands here, because I'm afraid if I stamp this and there is ink there, that could transfer onto my final project. So to prevent that, when I see that happening when I'm inking up, I cut it off. All right, now let's try that again. So we're going to go in with Twilight, which is the dark navy blue. Again, want to ink it up nice and juicy, nice and dark. And because they are photopolymer stamps, it's easy for me to see through. And I can line them up so that it looks like one is handing something to the other, maybe? Or they are showing each other something. Look at that. Oh, that looks so good. And you guys, I haven't even done any coloring yet. I don't like to do a lot of coloring, so this is perfect. All right, and then from here, all you would do is add any kind of accessories. So what I mean by accessories are, we have some smaller fish we're going to add in here. We're going to add whatever they're showing to each other in here. So let's start with the little fish. We have a little school of fish called Fish School. I'm going to do them in gray, so they're just kind of hidden off into the background. Versifying Clear Morning Mist. Now, I did stamp these fish upside down the other day, so it doesn't really matter. No one's going to notice because, again, they're gray. They're in the background. Go. And then maybe we have a couple of these guys in the background over here. Ooh, they didn't show up to school very well. They're there, I promise. Let me try them again in a darker color. Let's try this medieval blue. I don't know if it'll show up any better. Whatever mica I have in the corner there is kind of deteriorating from my images, but I'm going to try to line that back up since those gray ones didn't really show up. Okay, that's a little better. That's good. Okay, so we have our school of fish. Okay, and now it's just a matter of adding colors. I think what I'm going to do for what they're holding is we have this teeny ocean icons, and there's a couple of different shells in there. There's an oyster with a pearl. There's some little critters. We have a turtle. We have a crab. We have a starfish. We can just stamp these guys in the background here. We'll use, well, let's try green oasis for the turtle. And I'll make him a little bright green. Let's tone him down a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit of this shady lane and just kind of go around the edges of him, so he's not as bright. Maybe we put him over here. There you go. He's cute. Maybe we put our starfish. Now, I know starfish come in many different colors. I went to the aquarium with Leah, and they pink, purple, blue, all different colors of starfish. So we'll color this guy purple. This is Monarch. And I'm going to stick him right here. He may not show up very well. Yeah, he's there. He's there. We can see a little bit of him. Let's do another one. Again, you can go in and color these in with your gel pens or color pencils, and then they'll stand out any way you want them to. And then I think for the girls, sisters, whatever you want to call them, I'm going to give them each a shell. I'm just going to stamp that out on some white card so that I can cut it out very easily. And one in Purple Delight. And we'll do this other shell. We'll do a bright bluebell. And I'll cut those out separately and just glue them in place over their hands so they really pop. Okay, so that's it, guys. Really, it's just some stamping, some masking. The last part is just coloring it in. I'm going to grab my little gel pens. I like to keep my mask with my stamps. I'll just keep it on the packaging. That way, if I need to reuse it, it's right there. Let's bring in some color pencils, some gel pens, fill in all of the details. You guys have seen me do this several videos, nothing new here. And you certainly don't have to. This looks pretty good without the color. I just think the color brings some depth into it. These are chalk pencils I'm using, or pastel pencils. You can use regular colored pencils. You can use watercolors. You can use paints. I always say use what you have. That mica is kind of cool because it's giving this shimmer vibe effect, and so it almost looked like the water is kind of moving there because the mica is there, and so the image is not completely coming through. It's kind of distorted. So it almost looks like if you were looking through water, you know how water has this movement to it, and you lose your focus on whatever you're looking at. That's kind of what it's doing here. It's filling in that vibe there. All right, and let's fill in this treasure chest and give it some color. So I want to know from you guys, what do you think of this new release with the underwater mermaids? Obviously, I like it. I love all of these underwater scenes that everybody's doing. But let me know if you guys like the traditional fairies, gnomes, or do you like this kind of new mermaid vibe that they have brought in? Because I really think this is cool. And again, just bringing in some gel pen. Gonna fill in using the fun glitter in these pens to decorate, color, make these mermaids pop. And these pens are very shimmery, very glittery, so when you hold this up in the light, there's a lot of sparkle in here. Looks great. And of course we have our golden chest, so we have to color all of our chalices and our gold and our fine jewelry and rare gems. All right, I think that's pretty much it. And I will just fussy cut these guys. I will be right back. This video has already gone way longer than it needs to be. So let me cut these out and we'll finish this off. Okay guys, that's it. I stamped out and colored with the color pencils those little shells and glued them in their hands. That way they didn't get lost in the background, and I think that came out really well. Again, I used stamps from the Fairy Hugs collection over at fairystamper.com. Please subscribe to the channel, and that way you can get other ideas from the other design team members. We have so many talented members of the design team. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I'll link everything that I use down below in the description for you. Thanks for watching, and keep on stamping. Bye-bye.